State politics has been dominated this week by the report into the conduct of the former Burnside Council. The government had decided to can it despite a Supreme Court ruling that the inquiry should be finished within new parameters as quickly as possible. Much of the controversy has centred on the reasons why the new minister, Russell Wortley, says he could neither read the report nor give it to the police. I spoke to the minister earlier today.
Russell Wortley, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
John Rowell says he's relaxed about the Burnside report going to the police. Mal Hyde says he wants to have the police see the report. Why do you know better than those two?
I recently received a letter from Mal Hyde inviting me to refer a copy of the report to him. I've considered that, and I have no problems regarding sending the report to him, and I'll instruct my department to do so.
Why the backflip? Because that wasn't what you were saying yesterday. The clear implication yesterday was that you'd received advice that the police couldn't have it.
You've got to remember that this is a very complex issue, and it's been made even more complicated by the recent decision by the full bench of the Supreme Court to rule a number of those terms of reference used in investigating the report invalid.
It's no more complex today than it was yesterday. Why the backflip from today? From yesterday.
Everything I do has to be considered. I rely on considering legal advice and a number of issues. Now, I received the letter the other day. I've considered it, and now I'm prepared to refer the report, the draft report, by the way, to Commissioner Hyde.
So the advice you had yesterday that it couldn't go to police is wrong, or has it changed? Or has your interpretation changed?
This whole issue in regards to the Burnside Council has been going on for it's entering its third year now. It's cost $1.3 million. We now have a court decision in which has ruled that a number of the term of reference are invalid. It's also put a suppression order over the draft report. So everything I do must be considered, and I've considered it, and now I will take up the Commissioner's invitation to forward the report.
You've spoken of the legal impediments. Have you ever thought about going back to the court and getting some clarity on that?
This investigation has been going for entering its third year now. It's cost $1.3 million. It's turning into one big black hole, which I could pour millions of dollars down to it. The court's decision means that this investigation, if it went ahead, could take years to complete. Now, I'm not prepared as Minister to pour millions of dollars of taxpayers' money down this hole.
That still may be the recommendation from the Crown Solicitor's Office and the police.
The Crown Solicitor's Office will go through all the material, and they will, if there's any hint of criminal activity, that will be referred to the DPP. I'm not going to have an investigation go on for years on, with no ending in sight, costing millions of dollars of taxpayers' money, when the people of Burnside would really, what they're looking for is peace of mind to know that any illegal activity or illegal allegations that from the previous council will not be swept under the carpet and will be referred to the DPP.
Well, 2 weeks ago, that was exactly what you were proposing to do. You ruled a line under it, and that was it. Now you're sending it off to the DPP and to the police and to the Crown Solicitor.
It was never my intention to sweep any illegal activities or criminal activities under the carpet.
It was your intention to rule a line under an investigation that you said has been going on.
I made a very quick decision.
And now the investigation is going on again.
I made a very quick decision after the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment, to terminate the investigation, because look, the Supreme Court judgment has put significant legal impediments to the completion of that report, and I had made a judgment and that I was not prepared to allow this investigation to go on for years ahead.
Have you thought about going back to the courts and asking if you can read it? Because it is important to your job.
I can read it without going back to the courts.
So you can read it now?
I can read it. My advice was it wouldn't be prudent to read it.
The court said that it wants the report finished. It wants it finished by Ken McPherson. It says it may not be easy, but it wants the report to go to you as soon as practicable. Why have you chosen to ignore what the court says?
Well, you've got to take what the court says and the judge says in the context. The court, the judgment said that it'd be in the best interest of that this report be concluded as early as possible, and that the investigator should continue on and disentangle all the evidence taken in conjunction with those invalid terms of reference. Now, let me finish. This is very important.
But precisely what's going on at the moment. This is very important. But that's the situation we're in at the moment. This
is very important, that the Commissioner was never asked to judge or to rule on whether the report continues or not. It was taken, it has to be read in context, that it was in the public interest that if it was going to be concluded, it be concluded as quick as possible.
John Rao said this morning that part of that determination, the decision not to continue, was in fact a political judgment, not just a legal one.
I made the decision based on legal advice. I'm the Minister. I made a political decision to terminate the investigation because I was not prepared to allow, taking into consideration the impediments, legal impediments now imposed upon us by the Supreme Court decision, to continue on spending millions of dollars of taxpayers' money.
In finishing, do you think this week you've handled this situation in a manner which will inspire confidence amongst your colleagues?
I can assure all my colleagues that I have my entire reasoning for the decisions I've taken is to ensure that the people of Burnside have peace of mind, that any allegations of criminality will be looked into and will not be swept under the carpet. But we have learnt things from this. I think it's important your viewers understand we have learnt things from this, that
even though
councils, the broader issues of local government outside of the Burnside Council. I've had discussions with the Local Government Association. We have agreed that we'll work together to identify sections of the Local Government Act which we can address to give the councils the power to handle these issues with councillors at a very early stage to stop them becoming massive issues which are going to cost the taxpayers millions of dollars.
Minister, thanks very much for your time today.
It's my pleasure.
And the full version of that interview will be on our website on Monday.